on to topic 7.6, reduction of air pollution. This is the part I really love. We get to talk about how we can fix this problem that we found ourselves into with our modern industrialized society. And this is something that I've been able to see in my lifetime since moving down to California in 1998. I would see more of what here is on the left than what is on the right. So I'm just really happy when I can look out there and see the beautiful San Gabriel Mountains. See Mount Baldy instead of seeing all this haze. So this we don't want. So we're gonna get into how that happened. So lots of different methods that we have used here in California. One of the most effective is through regulations. Companies complain about regulations all the time. People complain about, in general, regulations, but regulations help us live a more successful, happy life. Think about what daily life would be like with no rules at all. We know we need rules to live by in school, just going by our normal family life. We know we're happier when we follow rules, and when we follow rules for clean air, it definitely works out better for everybody. So regulation, different practices, conservation, so using less energy. And using alternative fuels. So instead of the regular gasoline, trying to use biofuels or hydrogen. Those are something biofuels doesn't really tend to work too well because about 15 years ago it was popular, people running their cars on fry grease or oil from fryers from fast food restaurants and restaurants in general. But even though there's a lot of that waste oil, there's not enough to really power our society. Hydrogen is something that has been tried out for about 20 years, but it just isn't cost effective enough. But you do still see some hydrogen cars on the road. But California has been a huge leader in all this. We can really feel proud of this. One big help to all of our air is the three-way catalyst or catalytic converter. And we'll get into what three-way means in a second. That it basically cleans the air in three different ways. So the single largest reduction are from these catalytic converters. These are the ones that are getting stolen. The other is lead-free gasoline. We don't have neurotoxins being spewed out all over the place anymore, thankfully. And that has been shown to raise the IQ of everybody around us. That's always a good thing when all of us can think better and more effectively. Something, if you've been around cars in a while, the motorist dreads this check engine light. This is called onboard diagnostics. Basically making sure the car is running efficiently. If the oxygen sensor is not working right or the combustion mixture is not working right, this check engine light will come on. There's like 50 different ways for it to come on. When you get a smog check, I forgot. I probably should put this here. Smog checks, I'm sure you've heard of. You see them all over the place. If your car is old enough, before you get your license, registration tags, you need to get it smog checked to make sure that it's running properly. And then down here we have hybrid electric vehicles. And I know you have seen, they're becoming more popular. Every time there's a gas crisis, a crunch, an increase in gas, they tend to carry more, get more interest in cars like this. But I know I have yet to get one of these cars, but I'll tell you what, I will not ever miss going to a gas station again. So that's one thing that I could definitely do with that. I love cars. I love a gas engine, the way they sound, vroom, when they turn on. Oh, I love that. I love it. I know it's killing us slowly, but I love it. But I could get used to an electric car and not going to a gas station. Something that I was really kind of tripped me up when I first came to California, when I went to get gas the first time. All the gas pump have these funny plastic shrouds over them. And those are vapor recovery nozzles. So, I don't know why that happened. Nozzle. You know what? It's just where it's going on the screen. So I'm going to write nozzle below it. Hopefully it won't keep popping. There we go. So air pollution control, there's vapor that comes off. There's fumes when you're gassing your car. If you've ever been near it, you've smelled these. Some people think they smell good. They might smell good, but you shouldn't be smelling them. So try to stop, force yourself not to smell those. So it's brilliant. So instead of all these hundreds of thousands, I don't know, tens of thousands of gas stations, when people are gassing up, releasing all these fumes and vapors into the air, instead of going into the atmosphere, they go back down the hose and back down where they belong, in the gas tank, or the underground gas tank. So it prevents them from going into the atmosphere, which is a great thing. Still kind of trips me up. When I go back to Washington State, we still don't have these. So I still am not quite used to not having that big vapor recovery nozzle on there. But yeah, check this out. I think that's awesome. It's totally cool. Another thing we talked about, the catalytic converters, air pollution control device. See, I'll learn my lesson someday. I'm going to write that here. Air pollution control device for internal combustion, meaning regular gas or diesel engines, that converts different pollutants. Carbon monoxide, remember that's an asphyxiant. Nitrous oxides represent usually NOx, and hydrocarbons. We know I talked about hydro. That's that soot, basically. The three-way part, that means those three things: carbon monoxide, nitrous oxides, and hydrocarbons, HC. Okay, those are the three things that this is getting rid of. And this, by the way, is from a Honda Civic, one of my favorite cars. I love Honda Civics. Toyota Corollas are nice too, but man, Honda Civics, I love those cars. So this is what it looks like in a Honda Civic. Oh, here's a better. Here's the nitrogen oxide. Here's the carbon monoxide, unburned hydrocarbons, for 1, 2, 3 ways it cleans the air. So yeah, just a sec. Remember, we talked a lot about surface area here. Very high surface area. A lot of area for these catalysts to work on the gas, the exhaust that comes in there. And check out all these. This is why they're so expensive. PT, PD, RH. This is platinum, palladium, and rhodium. Platinum. That's the PT. PD is palladium. I don't know. I just like saying these things. And RH, don't get to say this very often. Rhodium. So, and those tend to be pretty expensive. That's why these suckers get stolen. And yeah, to get them replaced, it can be thousands of dollars. But they keep our air clean. Oh, so this looks like with these tanks right here, looks like an oil refinery. We have a lot of these, especially in the harbor. We used to have one. If you've been around Long Beach for a while, where Artesia and Paramount come together on the south side of Artesia, there used to be an old oil refinery there. About 5 years ago, it got converted to those giant warehouses, those instant warehouses. But if you're a little kid, if you grew up around here, you might remember a big, rusty, nasty looking facility, and that was an oil refinery. There were big fracking columns there. So well, we want to keep these industrial centers like oil refineries from polluting too much, so there's wet and dry scrubbers that are installed. That's what these are. This equipment here is scrubbing the exhaust to try to clean it up, to remove pollutants and any gases from these industrial streams. Scrubbers, yeah. Coal burning, that's specific for coal burning power, which we do not have. I don't know if there's any on the West Coast at all. There used to be one in Nevada. I think they shut that down. No, there are some over in probably Arizona, Nevada. I got it. So anyway, there's scrubbers and precipitators. They're called scrubbers. Let me focus here. Electrostatic, so they're using electricity. So it can be energy intensive, of course. So that brings the cost of making electricity a little higher. So that's why, in general, they've been moving away from this, because to make it clean enough is costing them so much. It's easier just to do natural gas generation because of fracking, which we talked about before. We've had a lot more opportunity for cheaper natural gas, or just gas. Remember, natural, it's not really natural. It exists naturally, but how we get it's not natural. Precipitators, basically, what a precipitation means is creating a solid. So you're taking that gaseous mixture and you're creating solids you can get out of there, so it's not flying out the smokestack like you're seeing here. You see a lot of these like electrostatic precipitator. That's this right here. Fabric filter. Yeah, just like you have like a coffee filter. Just a more elaborate, thick filter. And I don't know what FGD stands for. I'll get back to you. FGD wastewater. I'd look into that. But we mentioned ash ponds, I think, before. All this stuff has to go somewhere. Instead of in the air, we're pulling it out. It's got to go somewhere. Right now, they put it in a big ash pond, and they let it settle. And it looks like they're letting the top part, which is a little bit cleaner, go back into the river. But look how close it is to the river. What if this little dam broke and all the stuff went into the river? Big problems. And we'll get to that in a second. So we have a dry scrub. No, this is a wet scrubber. Basically, put all the gas with all the funky, nasty stuff through here. Let the gas rise. As it does, just spray it. This is like this is kind of like natural, you know. Remember, after it rains, our air is clean because it naturally comes down through the atmosphere, gets rid of all the stuff. So you're basically doing this natural process in industrial fashion. Then you could also do a dry scrubber, basically with filters. Sometimes these are all done at once, like we saw earlier. So media, meaning filter. And then here we have electrical current being used, so electrostatic. Electrostatic precipitators basically is a way to get rid of the pollution. Now, this is what happens when things go wrong. There used to be a dam over here, I believe, right there. It broke, so all the ash went into the river. And that's a lot of nasty stuff in there: cadmium, mercury. This right here is in Tennessee. This was in 2008. Harriman. Big disaster. This really is terrible for the environment. I mean, this is not mud. This is fly ash, mostly, or a large percentage of it. And this is some of the worst stuff you could come into contact with. And look at that. The entire almost half of the first floor is just covered. This is another spill. This is the Dan River spill. This is the Dan River. And this is North Carolina. So as you're seeing a trend, these are in the east, the southeast. Okay, where you have predominantly more coal, because this area is near the Appalachians, which has been a big place for coal mining. So it's cheaper to move it there. It's more expensive to move it across the country to use here. And right here, this was 2014, the Dan River spill. And here you go. This is some of the coal, the leachate. No, not the fly ash. That is just sitting here, and it looks like it's gone over this little berm, looks like a levee, and going into the Dan River. Look at that, nasty. So, the river can recover. It's going to take a while, though. So, a skill you need to have is to be able to look at data and evidence to support a solution. So here we have, this is sulfates, dry deposition of sulfates, wet and dry. In the late 80s, early 90s, you can see this whole part of the East Coast from Massachusetts all the way over almost to Wisconsin. Just a lot of sulfur oxides. And then, what's that? 20 years later, barely any. Okay, so major improvement. God, that's almost... Remember, these sulfur oxides, these contribute to acid rain. So big reduction in acid rain. Acid rain reduction. So removing sulfur oxides from the air, or from the coal plants and other industrial processes, creates less acid rain. We see evidence right here to support a solution to our acid rain problem, which is reducing the amount of acid we put into the sky. Who would have thought? And here's, I like this one, it's pretty clear. Evidence, Europe had a big acid rain problem because of the same exact issue. Pretty much all of Germany and Poland had big issues with acid rain. And this was what, 1990, same time frame. By 2010, Germany pretty much eliminated. Look at that improvement. Still some issues in some parts of Poland. If you look at this right here is, I believe this is Kyiv over in Ukraine. This would be Stockholm. No, Stockholm is like here. I gotta look at that. What's the capital of Norway? I'll look into it. Here's around London. Look at all that acid rain they got. But look, they pretty much took care of it. Okay, still got a little bit. So, this is, we want this. We don't want this. So air pollution is preventable. We can make major strides if we coordinate our action. But every time, we use transportation, Whatever we decide to use, we can make an impact. Still, corporations have by far the biggest responsibility, but we all can do something to help make our air cleaner for us to breathe.